for the special call council meeting for April 30th, 5 o'clock. And this is the recess meeting for the April 10th meeting discussing the issue of the Michael Macon problem. So I need a motion to open.
No, you've already did. Motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as printed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, show up with your hand. Motion passes. Okay, we go down to item of business. This item 8A, discuss flood damage ordinance violation appeal. How would you like to start?
Well, up to Michael, it looks like, well, or do you want to start? Do you want him to give us the information that he's got on what he thinks he needs?
Yes, sir. I
And
think
the
if Mr.
times.
Macon can come forward and let the board know what information he's found out since the last meeting.
And what you think you need?
Okay, sounds good.
Does he need a microphone, Teresa, or is his voice?
I think his voice.
Okay.
David Link.
Michael Macon.
Hey, Michael.
Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Nice to see you. Nice to see everybody. All right, after the last meeting, I talked to an engineer that I'm going to use to do the no-rise certificate. She said it will take a couple, 3 weeks to do it. So I just sent her the contract today, so probably 3 weeks from today, she will issue the no-rise, whether determination rise or no-rise certificate. I also talked to FEMA today, and they just gave me some information to give to the engineer that if there is a rise, she wants to know where if it's contained and how much rise is it, so that I can take that back to Ed and say, there's a rise potentially, but it's contained in this area in my land. And then the community and the engineer and myself can agree on a term.
Now, is that a quick question? Can I ask questions? Okay, is that rise based on historical data, or how do you know what's the rise based on to see if there is a rise?
Yeah. What they do is there's a model, they have to do an H&H model.
Okay.
There's a model that FEMA has developed based on the 1% chance, the 100 BFE, the 100-year floodplain. So FEMA has a model, it's old model. That's what kind of will take some time because the model is in PDF, it's not in the new software package. So based on FEMA's model of how high I'm just trying to put it in terms, how high the 100-year floodplain, the flood water how high they will go. If this is in it, whether it will have impact, or FEMA said it could have a negative impact based on the model. But what she's saying is, FEMA is saying, whether the engineer, they will use the old model and put it to a new tool, and it will spit out whether there's an impact rise or not.
So let me ask a clarifying question. When we're talking about the rise, I'm assuming we're talking about the rise of water.
Correct, the impact of water.
And then the structure of whatever is built to accommodate the rise. If that impedes the rise, the engineer and FEMA have to approve where that water ends up. Am I understanding it correctly, or maybe I'm not?
No, so the rise certificate says whatever structure that you're going to put or construction in this area, right? Whether it's there or your new construction, what impact it will have on the 100-year plan.
Okay.
For the floodplain, 1 year. So if they're going to look at the current structure, the current bridge that we have, and see that impact, and then also the compute based off the new where we plan to put the new bridge.
Okay.
And see the impact of. So it says rise. So this rise is if it will impact the water to raise the water levels.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It
does, but it doesn't.
I understand the speed.
Hey, David, the bridge, if it's here,
Right.
the water, however much goes underneath that bridge, it can't impede that bridge at all. It's gotta be above that.
Correct, yeah.
And that's and it can't be here because it might impede. So it says no rise. There has to be a no rise. Water can't rise to it.
Right.
What they think.
Right, so
Yeah.
say this is the current level.
Right.
But the 100-year plan, floodplain says that it's here.
Gotcha.
So this is the hypothetical 1%.
Right.
Right? So, but if I put something in here, go across, say put something on the bridge here, so they will do a calculation to see if it impacts, so it will make this rise. It's called no rise, and it will impact if it impacts someone else. Because typically you put something here, it may make the water come up here. Right, that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that valid?
How do they know that?
Well,
It's debris in the creek and.
Historical
Not
guesses.
that it matters.
Historical guesses.
well,
Yes.
Right, it's a guesstimate.
because what the engineer said is, well, so you have to look at the models
Right.
and you put in a tool and it'll say if this will potentially impact, but yeah, it's,
And look at the topography, the whole thing, back up, upstream to and downstream. You know, how much would it take? How much water would it take to cause a problem?
Okay, so is there an opportunity that FEMA would approve what you currently have there, or that's a done deal?
no, there's a possibility, talking to FEMA, if there is no rise,
Okay.
if the models come out and say there's no rise, it could be, that's the end of the story.
But there's no rise, they're talking about the section that I heard it was in sections, right? Don't they have sections of the creek that they're looking at?
No, when I say section of the creek, they're looking at the floodplain. The floodplain can go ebb and flow with the creek.
Yeah, but it's a
Yes,
section, okay,
There is a FEMA section,
a FEMA
map
section.
section.
Oh, the fire, yeah.
So I guess my question is what if the section, if I would think that, just guessing that the bridge where it is now and where you want to move it, and do they know where you want to put your bridge?
Yeah, it's the same section.
So I don't understand the same section, why, once they come out and find out that the one you got now doesn't exceed it, they say it's over with, right?
Correct. So what they have to do, the engineer has to do, she has to take the model that FEMA currently has. So it doesn't have anything in it. It says in 19, whatever they did the model. She will take the bridge and put it in the software package and set it down into the model where it is now. And then see the impact. And then the next one, she will take that out of the model and put the new one in the model and see how that impacts the model that FEMA has developed. So they have a model that has nothing in it.
Okay. So they don't do this automatically when there's a complaint registered. You're required to go get an engineer and to go through this process to prove whether your bridge is okay.
Before you
If not,
start,
what's got to be done?
before you
But
start.
we didn't do that.
We didn't do that though.
You didn't do this.
We
Right
didn't do
now,
that.
starting as if it hasn't been done.
We're going back and trying to verify what's there and
Right.
what should be there.
The responsibility falls on Michael to do that,
Well,
either before or now or whatever.
yes, before, but we're not before.
Correct. So the responsibility is not to tell them, like,
There's been a lot of things that's happened on his side and our side
Right.
that make it just a
And that's-
mess. You know?
Water under the bridge, right?
correct.
Okay.
That's one of the things, because FEMA's saying that the city should pay for you guys saw that, should pay for the no rise. And so, hey, I will go ahead and pay for the no rise. I'll just do the no rise.
Yeah.
But because of water under the bridge.
Now explain the LOMAR to me. Okay, if you get a no rise that does not qualify,
If I get a no rise,
In
it
other words-
says there is a rise.
there is a rise. So now he's got a bridge that, well, it doesn't meet the standards.
Correct. Yeah.
But the
So
FEMA
if this
people,
bridge fails, that sounds
Right.
a whole lot easier.
the
than
FEMA
it
people can go back and say they can alter their requirements on this particular bridge if they want to.
Yeah, so we can do a LOMAR,
That's what it's called.
LOMAR, LOMR, LOMR, that will change their model. So it will, so what, for example, the engineer will compute say the water rises instead of 0.01, because they allow 0.01, so say 0.02, 0.05, say something like that, it will rise to that. We can go back and issue or we can request a LOMAR, LOMAR from FEMA, or them to change their maps. It's called a map request change.
And it's a pretty detailed
It's
thing because they have to go through the whole mapping of their little map and take it and change it, whatever they have to do to allow that variance.
And the city, the community gets involved, state gets involved, and FEMA, so there's a lot of people that gets involved in that.
Then the engineer probably will work several months on that.
Correct.
Okay.
6 months.
So with that in mind, is there really anything that we can do, or what do we need to do to enable this to happen? That's.
Well, you gotta modify it to provoke or whatever.
How much time do you need? Let's say you're not able to get the no rise and you have to get the letter of map revision. Estimate, how much time do you need?
See, the letter of map revision, LOMAR, will take probably 6 months to obtain, get approvals, at least 6 months, because I think the engineer said 3 to 4 months to prepare because of the detail that you have to do. So that is at least a 6 month process. So I'm thinking that's.
Will they
probably a year.
review that if you've got a bridge not in
Violation.
violation?
See, that's what Fox
In
is
violation,
saying.
yeah.
Well, Fox is saying that if we, you get me, if we try to obtain a LOMAR, it will get the city in trouble and FEMA will not issue it. Because what he is saying is that they cannot issue a LOMAR to correct the issue, correct the violation.
What if you don't know if there is a violation?
What if he doesn't know?
What if we don't
Well,
know?
We
you'll
don't-
have to
that's
have
why
that
we're doing-
before the low margin.
That's why we're doing the, right. I mean, Fox is saying that there's a violation because there was no rise.
Certification.
Right. But it's not, that doesn't say that there was a violation, but he's just saying, because.
Could have been,
Could have been.
could have been.
Could have been a
Violation.
Correct.
So your engineer will create the certification it needs to know what we just talked about.
Then the next step would be the variance or the low margin.
Loma or the birds, exactly.
So what would be the situation where the engineer comes back with a result that creates the problem that FEMA says, no go? There's no, you can't do anything. Did I misunderstand that?
I don't think they can.
Okay.
Well, I haven't seen anything that said that they can't,
Okay.
and they will not.
Where the city was gonna be quote unquote in trouble
That's saying, if we try to get a Loma,
before the certificate.
right, so it's kind of common. So Fox is saying the state.
Fox is the guy,
Who is
Fox.
Fox? Yeah, I'm
he's
sorry.
with the state, who administers the ordinances for towns in North Carolina for FEMA.
Okay, y'all may have talked about that last meeting, that I wasn't here. so-
Oh, no problem.
But he inspects all my permits,
Okay,
and if he finds any violations, he'll write me up.
okay.
Big time.
So he was saying that, because there's a lot of emails exchanged back and forth. He was saying that, we showed the certificate and we said, well, we didn't, now we'll try to correct that, no rats. But he said that you may need a LOMAR, but FEMA will not issue a LOMAR to correct a violation. So that's what he said.
Walmart's not part of the equation right now.
LOMAR correct. So what we're doing now to rectify is we're getting a no rise certificate. And then that, if it shows that there's no rise, FEMA goes away, Fox goes away.
Yeah.
But, go ahead.
So tell me what does the order say as far as,
This final inspection order?
that you gave to him, what?
Stop work orders.
stop work order, right? Is that what that's called?
Right. I mean, it goes through the procedural history.
What do we have to do to solve this? Is the question.
Okay, and basically that he's in violation of the floodplain management regulation and flood damage prevention ordinance. So you have a couple different options. You could adopt a new order based on the hearing on the 10th and the 30th, or you can just amend this order and you can decide to stay enforcement. Stay means like halt, right? Because under the penalty section, there could be a penalty of like $100 a day and a misdemeanor for each day can be considered a separate offense. So if you want to stay enforcement mechanisms for 6 months, or you can, I mean, y'all, I'm just throwing out ideas. You can do whatever you want to do. You can affirm the order, you can, deny the order, or you can just modify the order and say that,
Well, yes, I'm not pointing fingers, I understand. But were we, because we don't know if we have a violation.
Ed says Mr. Humphrey says you have a violation.
Violation because,
Because he did not, Mr. Macon did not get the no rise certificate.
Before he started.
before it
Before it
started.
started.
But I thought that the rise was not.
Right, so,
So that's the town's
So if
position.
we fix that,
He
then
disagrees
the
with that,
engineer,
right, he
then what?
disagrees with that, and so that's why he came to appeal. So you all can,
so we could go back and modify and give, I'm just throwing out some numbers,
To a certain date,
certain date
probably.
to get the no rise.
Right.
Okay, if it comes back within that date, there was no rise, we're done.
Right.
And it comes
If there
back-
was, we reconsider whatever we have to do.
And then, so that would be a separate,
right, you
Meeting.
can revisit it.
so at this point in time, if we exceed the time from that order,
No, not yet.
not till July.
That's July, that was July.
So,
I mean, it's a reasonable amount of time. This is December, this appeal is December.
Yeah, but I gave him 6 months.
6 months.
Gotcha.
So can we
After
take it, if he says 3 weeks, which is, can we go ahead and just use the July deadline to get his no rise, and then at that point in time, we react to whatever comes at that point in time?
I would suggest we also not waive the fine, but, what's it called, Melanie? Stay the enforcement.
It's state enforcement because right now he's under an order to remove the bridge, right? But because he appealed it, he didn't have to take any action. He's under an order to remove the bridge and return the floodplain to its original condition. And his floodplain development permit issued on August 5th, 2021 is revoked. And so he has 180 days to come into compliance. So that would put us at June 11th, 2024. What you can do is stay this findings of fact in order, and you can modify this date until this June 11th date to another date, if that would work.
Right, so I heard two things there to do this. One is the certification, which 2 to 3 weeks, say 30 days. And then also the floodplain certification has been revoked. So is that something else that he has to apply for? Do you know, Michael, or?
That's after I get the no rise.
Okay.
I can do that.
So it's a separate item that you have to do. What kind of time frame does that take?
After he gets the no rise, if it qualifies, he's
Is that
there.
right?
As long as he's out of the floodplain. Now, the floodplain has something to do with it too. We haven't figured out exactly. Well, the no rise is out of the floodplain. Is that right?
The no rise can be in the floodplain, but as long as it doesn't make an impact. So it could be in the floodplain.
How long did it take you to get your first certification for the floodplain?
He didn't get one.
He didn't get one, he didn't have one.
Oh, I thought he had one in August, but it got revoked.
No.
That's his
The
first.
permit.
That's his permit, yes.
Permit.
Yeah, the town issued a permit.
Okay, so I'm using the wrong terminology, the permit for the floodplain.
Okay.
Does he have to redo that after he gets the certification? one way or
Probably,
the other?
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what time frame does that take? Is that just something you provide? or-
Yes, I provide it.
Okay,
I mean, if
So we're- I'm
he's
just
got all
trying
the
to add up the
stuff,
time here.
he could do it the same day. I mean,
Okay, all right, so.
that's not a
Really
problem.
no time. I just want to make sure we didn't have 3 weeks that it took to get.
I want to make sure if we go to a certain date, let's say we go July the 1st, for example, that we put in there that that also can be extended if we don't have the right information.
In the discretion of the floodplain administrator?
No,
Okay,
council.
okay. My question is though, because his floodplain development permit is revoked, is that going to impact the engineer or anyone going out there and doing any work that needs to be done or studies, or is that just computer models and they don't have to physically go on your property?
They may have someone to come do a physical pictures and survey,
But not actual
but
work?
not work
Not
work
work,
okay.
that I'm doing, right?
Well, but I guess, if I heard correctly, was he had to stop work. He couldn't utilize the bridge just because of this thing would be the town issue, correct?
Should that be clarified? We said he couldn't, we had to stop work on the project. Now, he's working on the project, but it's the new bridge he's working on, not the old one.
You not have to get to the other side, work on the new. bridge.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. That's the problem.
So can we,
Why don't
As
you
the council
stay
allow
the
him-
entire order, then?
Did that cover it?
cover where he can keep working?
Yes. that's
At least he would have access to his property, right? That is correct.
Right.
So.
Now, he's supposed to stay out of the floodplain. And he's supposed to stay out of the buffer.
So that would mean, so basically, for my,
But what's reasonable in the
if he has
buffer?
dirt brought in, the dirt would have to be brought in and be beyond the floodplain. And he could bring in there, drive across the floodplain, dump dirt on the other side.
Yep.
And then if he needs to later on, he could move it back to meet the requirements of the new bridge.
Yeah,
So
that's-
driving across the bridge is not working on the floodplain.
Right.
He's got to stay outside of those boundaries and then at some point, bring it to whatever that line is
For the new bridge.
for the new bridge, once all of this is decided. But he has to stay outside of that. And those boundaries have been declared. I mean, we know where those are. No, so
He does.
But it's arbitrary. I mean, I know where they are, because I know the distance, but yeah, because
He needs to mark those.
So how do you know where that is?
Survey.
Okay.
So we may have to get a new survey.
Creek over X number of feet or something?
well, actually, it's from the road down to measure to the floodplain, and the distance from the, because it's on that,
I have not taken you down there. I need to take you down there on Thursday and let you visualize it. Because once you visualize it, you'll say, oh, now I know what he's talking about.
I got a good grasp of what we're talking about. It's just,
So go back to where you've got 3 weeks, what you're saying, and you can't, I wouldn't want to base anything on 3 weeks, you know, that is. But we've got another date of July.
Where are you getting July from?
I said that was an example.
June 11th.
June
It's
11th.
June the 11th.
okay.
I said if we,
June 11th, that's, so can we modify the June 11th date?
Yes.
So why don't we modify the June 11th date? I'm just throwing out,
6.5 weeks.
June 11th
I mean, if you're staying the order, that's putting a pause button
on everything.
on everything. So really, if it's your decision to stay the order until,
That's the day I'm trying to think, what date?
should there be a meeting date where he has to come back and update us on what he's done?
To hold each other accountable.
Yeah, 'cause I mean,
We're getting it
you
done.
can decide how long you want it to stay for.
What's 2 weeks, since we don't know, would it make sense to have a meeting prior to the June 11th date and know what the status is of the engineer and all the stuff, and then have it, or do you stay beyond that?
I don't know if you all need to call a meeting for that. I think Mr. Macon, you can talk to Mr. Humphreys.
You
and
can just
he
talk
can-
to Ed, he can share.
Yeah,
with
keep
us
y'all
where
up to
we're
date
at.
off
Yeah.
Yeah, that,
where it is.
So
I just need to stay it as long. I don't need to come back and you say, hey, we need to reinstate.
Well, if we
Stay.
get- so if we use June 10th, for example, we have to report back to you from June 10th is the status of the no rise. And he could make this, I haven't got a report back at that point. Can we extend the stay and give another date? We have to have a report back at the status of where we are. Is that possible?
We can, I mean, right now, he has until June 11th
Right.
to remove the bridge and bring it in original condition.
Well, there's no way for the bridge, we know
Right,
that.
right, so
We
that's,
just need to know step one to be by that time.
so the question is, do you want to modify that condition in its entirety, or you just want to stay all of it?
My request would be to stay it, and then I give routine updates to
Stay, you mean, if you get choice to stay part of or all of it, what would be your?
I would Stay all of it, stay the entire, because you can always put it back in there. You just stay in there, you can always put it back in there.
And doing that, we're not creating a bigger problem for the town or for him.
Your ordinance states that you can affirm, modify, or revoke, and what you're doing is basically modifying it.
okay.
So legal, like, could it create a bigger problem? I do not know.
No.
Legally, you're allowed to do what he is asking you to do tonight.
I guess.
Who would the problem be with?
State, Terry.
Just-
The big dog is FEMA.
Okay.
It says you have to have an ordinance or abide by an ordinance before we give insurance to your property owners, flood insurance to your property owners. Or in case you have a disaster, if you don't have a flood ordinance, we don't give you money. So we take the state is the person who regulates that for FEMA. So the state gets involved and says, okay, here's a model ordinance. Here we have to abide by that ordinance, what it says. He checks it. If it isn't right, he tells us, you know. But that's the hierarchy. If it goes to the state first and then back to FEMA.
So
If we're working on it, FEMA.
Okay, so I'm playing devil's advocate here on worst case scenario. We have 100-year rain that comes in June, okay? And something happens, takes that bridge, shoves it down the creek and hits somebody else's property and does damage, what happens? Are we responsible because we put a stay on this, or who owns it? And I don't think that's gonna happen, but I'm just playing the.
First of all, someone has to be negligent, so there has to be to follow that duty. And
So
then there has to be approximate cause. Your negligence has to approximately cause this injury from